gentlemen of the jury, I come to my final instruction to you. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy you your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, let's move along, fellas. Great. Want some gum? No, thanks. I phoned up for the weather today. It's the hottest day of the year.
Oh, terrific.
I think they could at least air condition this place. I almost dropped dead in the courtroom.
All right, gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you need, I'll be right outside. Just now.
Great, thank you.
Well, I never knew they locked the door.
Sure they locked the door. What do you think?
I don't know, it just never occurred to me.
Hey, what's that for?
Well, I thought we might want to vote by ballots.
Oh,
You know?
great idea. Maybe we can get him elected senator, huh?
How'd you like it?
I don't know, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah? I was falling asleep.
Well, I mean, I've never been on a jury before.
Oh yeah, I sat on juries before. It always amazes me the way these lawyers can talk and talk and talk, even on a case as obvious as this one. I mean, it never hurts so much to talk about nothing.
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Well, sure, everybody's entitled to a fair trial. That's the system. Listen, I'm the last one to say anything against it, but sometimes I think we'd all be better off if we took these tough kids and smacked them down before they made any trouble. Know what I mean? Save us time and money.
All right, let's get going here. What do you say?
Yeah.
Well, I thought we might want to take a 5-minute break. I mean, the old man's in the restroom, so...
Are we gonna sit in order?
I don't know. What do you think?
Not a bad view, huh? What'd you think of the case? Had a lot of interest for me. No dead spots, you know what I mean? We were lucky to get a murder case, huh? Oh yeah, I mean, I figured us for, you know, burglary, assault, something like that. Those can be, ugh, the dullest, right? Say, isn't that the Woolworth building?
That's right.
You know what's funny? I've lived here all my life, never been in it.
Goddamn waste of time.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Sitting here for 3 days just for this.
What about that bill with the knife? Expecting grown-ups to believe that kind of bullshit.
Yeah. You gotta learn to expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose so. Got a cold?
Oh, yeah. And how these hot weather colds will kill you.
Yeah, they will.
I can hardly touch my nose, you know what I mean?
Whoa, whoa. The horn works. Now check the lights. Oh, great. The fan's not even working. Somebody take a letter to the mayor. Dear Stingy.
Let me take a look at it.
Hey, I didn't get a chance to read the newspapers today. Anything new going on?
I was just wondering how the market closed.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. What, are you on the exchange or something?
I'm a broker.
Yeah, I run a messenger service. The Beck and Call Company. The name was my wife's, I think. I employed 37 people. Started with nothing. Mr. Foreman, let's get going here. What do you say?
Yeah, all right. Let's take our seats, gentlemen.
Hope this goes fast. Got tickets to a ball game tonight. Yankees in Cleveland. We've got this new kid pitcher, the Mujolowski. He's a real bull, this kid. Real junkhead. You're quite the ball fan, aren't you? So where do you want us to sit?
Well, I thought we might want to sit in order, by jury number. 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. That's okay with you,
What's the
gentlemen?
difference?
I think it's reasonable to sit according to numbers.
Over here. 7's on the end, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Good.
Hey, so what was your impression of the prosecuting attorney?
I beg your pardon?
I mean, I thought he was really sharp, I mean, the way he hammered home his points, one by one in logical sequence. I mean, come on. Takes a good brain to do that, I was very impressed.
Yes, I think he did an expert job.
I mean, he had a lot of drive, too, you know what I mean? Real drive.
Let's get this show on the road. Come on.
Yeah, all right. Do you mind taking your seat? Gentlemen at the window. Do you mind taking your seat? I'm sorry. Right, thank you.
Pretty tough to figure, isn't it, huh? Kid kills his father, bang, just like
I
that.
mean, if you analyze the figures,
What figures? It's those people, I'm telling you. They let the kids run wild up there. Maybe it serves them right, you know what I mean?
Hey, kid, you a Yankee fan?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. It's like getting hit in the head every day with a crowbar in Milwaukee. Who do they got? I'm asking you, who do they got except maybe some good groundskeepers?
All right. Oh, we'd like to get started. Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, right over here.
Milwaukee.
All right, gentlemen. You can handle this any way you'd like. I'm not going to have any rules or anything. We can discuss it and then vote, or we can vote right now and see where we stand.
I believe it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
All right, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home. Right?
It's easy.
Just remember, we have a first-degree murder charge here. We vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. Now that's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
All right? This has to be a 12-0 vote, either way. Everybody okay with that?
Come on, let's vote.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Yeah.
All those voting guilty, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Right?
8, 9, 10, 11. 11 votes guilty. All those voting not guilty, raise your hand. Right. 1 vote not guilty. Votes 11-1 in favor of guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Well, boy, there's always one.
What are we doing now?
Well, I guess we talk.
Boy, oh boy.
Now, do you really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
Well, let's be reasonable. You sat in the courtroom, heard the same thing we did. The man is a dangerous killer. You could see it.
The man, he's 19 years old.
Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father. 4 inches into his chest.
I mean, it's obvious. I was convinced from the first day.
Well, who wasn't? Look, I really think this is one of those open and shut things.
That's right.
They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you?
No,
Then what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Talk. What's there to talk about? We all agreed we didn't have to think twice about it. No one except you.
I want to ask you something. Now, do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
Well, then what did you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without at least talking about it
Who
first.
says this is for me?
No one.
Yeah, you can talk. You know what, just because I voted fast, I think he's guilty. You can talk for 100 years. You're not going to change my mind.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just, we're talking about somebody's life here. We can't decide in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong. You can suppose anything. We all believe he's guilty, so suppose it takes us 5 minutes to finish. So what?
Look, let's take an hour. Your ball game doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
All right, Slugger, you're up.
All right. Who's got something to say? How about you?
Not me. I'm willing to put in an hour.
All right.
Right. Well, I heard a pretty good story last night. This woman comes running into the doctor's office, stripped to the waist.
That's not what we're sitting here for.
All right, well, you tell me. What are we sitting here for?
I don't know. Look, this boy's been kicked around his whole life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9 years old. He spent 1.5 years in an orphanage while his father served prison time for forgery. not a very good head start. He's had a pretty terrible 19 years. I just think we owe him a few words, that's all.
Well, I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. Now, he got a fair trial, didn't he? Come on, what do you think this trial costs? He's lucky he got it. Listen. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. I mean, they're born liars.
It suddenly occurs to me that you must be an ignorant man.
What do you mean? What are you talking about here?
You think you have a monopoly on the truth?
What are you making a federal case about this for? How do you like this guy?
All right, relax.
I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
Come on, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon in here.
Monopoly, for Christ's sake!
If we're going to discuss this case, let's stick to the facts.
Yeah, he's right, gentlemen. We've got a job to do, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Suppose the gentleman at the end of the table can tell us why. I mean, tell us what he's thinking. Maybe we can show him where he's probably mixed up.
Pardon me, what are you drawing?
Huh? Oh, it's one of the projects I work on down at the ad agency. Rice Pops, the breakfast with the built-in bounce. I wrote that line.
It's very catchy.
If you don't mind.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I got this habit of doodling. You know, it keeps me thinking clearly.
We're trying to get somewhere
Yeah, I'm
here.
sorry.
I mean, we can sit here forever,
Well,
gentlemen.
look, maybe this is an idea. I mean, I'm just, thinking out loud here. But, it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that, we're right and he's wrong. So maybe if we each took a minute or two and just kind of, it was just a quick thought,
No, I think it's a good one. I do. What do you say we go around once around the table and order adjourn? Sound good?
Yes.
All right, that means you're up first.
Well, it's hard to put it into words. I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. Well, it's in the Constitution. You've heard of it.
No, sure, I've heard of it, but, I know what it is. I just, the man is guilty. I mean, somebody saw him do it.
Okay. Now here's what I think. And I have no personal feelings in this at all. I'm just talking facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor, underneath the room where the murders took place. At 10 after 12 on the evening of the murder, he said he heard loud voices coming from the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid yell out, "I'm going to kill him." Second later, he heard a body hit the floor. He ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. I mean, those are the facts. You can't refute facts. The boy is guilty. Look, I'm as sympathetic as the next guy. I mean, I know the kid's only 19, but he's got to pay for what he did.
I'm with you, Bob. It was obvious to me, anyway, that the boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies at the time of the killing, yet 1 hour later he couldn't remember the names of the movies he had seen or who played it.
That's right. He's absolutely right.
And no one saw him go into or out of the theater.
Right.
Wait a minute. What about that woman across the street? Now, if her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right, she was the one who actually saw the killing.
Yeah, let's go in order, though. What do you say?
Yeah, just a minute. Now, there's a woman, right? She's lying in bed and can't sleep, right? She's dying from the heat, you know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window, right across the street. She sees the kid stick the knife into his father. The time is 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. Now, she's known this kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers, right across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the last two cars of a passing elevated train.
Right. This L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved downtown. And the lights were out, remember? Now, they proved in court that at night you can look through the windows of an L train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side.
Right.
They proved it.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy?
No.
Well, how come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Oh, you're a pretty smart fella.
come on.
No. What are you so wise about? What is this guy so wise about?
All right,
I'm telling
calm
you.
down.
No, this guy's
What are you letting them get you so upset for, huh?
Come on, like that. Let's just take it easy and try and keep it peaceful in here, all right? Now, whose turn is it anyway? I think it's yours.
I'll pass.
All right, it's your privilege. Next gentleman.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was convinced early in the case. I was looking for a motive. That's very important.
Yep.
But without a motive, where's your case? Well, anyway, there was that testimony of those people who lived across the hall from the boy's apartment. Didn't they say something about the boy and his father having a fight the night of the killing?
Right.
About 7 p.m.? I mean, I could be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, it was 8 o'clock. They said they heard an argument, but they couldn't hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. Well, what does that prove?
It doesn't prove anything. It's just part of the whole picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
You said it revealed a motive for the killing. The prosecuting attorney said the same thing. Well, I don't think it's a very strong motive. This kid's been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs for him. I just can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him to commit murder.
It may have been 2 slaps too many.
Right.
Everyone has a breaking point.
I do.
Anything else?
No.
No, thank you. Next gentleman.
Me?
Yep.
It's all already been said before. I mean, come on, look at this kid's record. He's 0 for 5 for crying out loud. When he was 10 years old, he was in children's court for throwing a rock at his teacher. He was in reform school when he was 14. He stole a car. Been picked up for mugging twice. Twice he was arrested for trying to knife a few kids. They said he was good with a knife. You know that? Oh, yeah. Real good kid.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up on a regular basis. He used his fists.
So would I on a kid like that.
Wouldn't you call those beatings a motive for him to kill his father?
I don't know. I'd say it's a motive for being an angry kid, I'll say that.
Ah, it's the kids. The way they are these days. Angry, hostile. Can't do a thing with them. Even the way they talk to you. When I was his age, I used to call my father sir. That's right, sir. You ever hear a boy call his father that these days?
Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore.
Oh, yeah? You got any kids?
2.
Yeah, well, I got 1. He's 20. We did everything for that boy, and what happens? When he was 9, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed I almost threw up. I told him flat out, I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna bust you in half trying. Yeah, I made a man out of him, all right. When he was 16, we got into a battle. He hit me in the face. He's big, you know? Haven't seen him in 2 years. Rotten kid. I mean, you work your heart out for these kids. All right, let's move on.
I think we're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're here to determine whether or not he is guilty or innocent of murder. Not to go into reasons why he was brought up that way. He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it, so do you. It's no secret that children that come from slum backgrounds are detrimental to society.
Oh, brother, you can say that again. Oh, no, the kids that crawl out of places like this are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you.
Hey, I've lived in a slum all my life. And I nursed that trash at Harlem Hospital 6 nights a week.
Oh, now, wait a second here.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Hey, maybe it still smells like it.
All right, take it easy. Now listen, let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
No, there is something personal.
All right, listen, he wasn't talking about you. Don't be so sensitive.
This sensitivity, I understand.
Right, let's just relax, all right? Stop with the argument, all right? We're wasting time. Now, whose turn is it? It's your turn. You go.
Well, I wasn't expecting a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the
That's
idea?
right. I forgot. Check.
Well, what the hell's the difference? I mean, he's the one who's keeping us here. Come on, let's hear what he's got to say.
Wait a minute. We decided to do it a certain way, so let's stick to what we said.
Stop being such a kid.
Kid? What do you mean by that?
Oh, what do you think I mean? K-I-D, kids.
Why, back because I'm trying to keep it nice and organized and it's going smooth. Oh, you want to sit here? You want the responsibility? I'll tell you what, I'll sit over here and just keep my mouth shut. How about
What are you
that?
getting so hot about? Calm down, will you?
Calm down. You want to sit in the chair? Sit in the chair. You think it's so smooth and easy? Come on, you think it's a snack? Come on, Mr. Foreman. Let's see how you run the show.
You ever see such a thing here?
You think this is funny?
All right, come on. Take it easy. The whole thing is unimportant.
Oh, now it's unimportant. You want to try?
No, listen. You're doing a beautiful job, okay? Nobody wants to change, right?
You're doing great, kid. You just hang in there and pitch.
All right, come on, let's hear from somebody.
Well, if you want me to tell you how I feel about it now, it's all right with me.
Go ahead.
I don't care what you think.
All right, I haven't got anything brilliant. I don't know any more than you do. According to the testimony, the boy looks guilty. Maybe he is. I sat in court for 3 days listening while the evidence built up. Everybody sounded so positive that I got, well, a peculiar feeling about this whole trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. I had questions I would have liked to ask. Maybe they wouldn't have meant anything, but I just think I started to get a funny feeling that the defense attorney just let too many things go, little things.
What do you mean, little things? Oh, come on, listen. When these guys don't ask questions, it's because they know the answers already, and they figure they'll be hurt by it.
Maybe. It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Sounds like you met my brother-in-law.
I kept trying to put myself in the boy's place. I would have asked for another lawyer, I think. I mean, if I was on trial for my life, I'd want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness. Someone else says they heard the killing and saw the boy run out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Suppose they were wrong.
What do you mean, supposing they were wrong? I mean, what's the point of having witnesses at all?
Well, could they be wrong?
Well, look, they sat on the stand, right? Under oath. What are you trying to say?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
Well, now listen. Nobody can know a thing like that, right? Come on, this isn't, an exact science here.
That's right, it isn't.
All right, let's get to the point. Let's talk about the switchblade they found in the father's chest.
Wait a minute, hold it. There are some people here who haven't talked yet. Shouldn't we wait?
Listen, they can talk whenever they want. You just be quiet a second, you hear? All right, let's talk about the blade. You know, the one that fine, upright lad admitted to buying on the night of the murder. Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again. Mr. Foreman?
We all know what it looks like. What are we going to get out of seeing it again?
You brought it up.
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits and evidence. The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence, don't you think so?
I do.
Good. Now suppose we take these points one at a time. 1. The boy admitted going out of the house around 8 o'clock on the night of the killing after being punched several times by his father.
Right. He didn't say punched, he said hit. There's a difference between a slap and a punch.
After being hit several times by his father. 2. He went directly to one of these neighborhood junk shops where he purchased, what do you call these things? A
switchblade.
Switchblade knife, thank you. 3. This isn't what you would call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle. 4. The storekeeper who sold it to the boy identified the knife in court and said it was the only one of its kind he had ever had in stock. 5. At around 8:45 or so, the boy ran into 3 of his friends in front of the diner. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are. Yeah, you bet he is. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
The boy spoke with his friends for about an hour, leaving them at 9:45, during which time each of them saw the switchblade. 6. Each of them identified the death weapon in court as that same knife. And 7. The boy arrived home around 10 o'clock. Now, this is where these stories offered by the boy in the state begin to diverge slightly. He claims that he stayed home until 11:30 and then went to one of these all-night movies. He arrived home at 3:15 to find his father dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to the switchblade? Here we go. This is the charming and imaginative little fable the boy invented. He claims that the knife must have fallen through a hole in his pocket sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 on his trip to the movies, and that he never saw it again. Now, this is a tale, gentlemen. I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. No one in the house saw him leave at 11:30. No one in the theater identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the movies he had seen. No, what actually happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death at 10 minutes after 12, then fled from the house. He even remembered to wipe the fingerprints clean from the knife. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Now, are you really trying to tell me that it fell through a hole in the boy's pocket? Someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No! I'm saying it's possible the boy lost the knife, and that someone else stabbed the father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. I've never seen another one like it. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to the boy. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking you to accept anything. I'm just saying it's possible.
Oh yeah? And I'm saying it's not possible. Wait, what are you doing here? Hey, what is this?
Oh, what's going on here?
It's the exact same knife.
Same knife.
Where did you get that knife?
I went for a walk for a couple hours last night, just thinking. That knife comes from a little pawn shop, 3 blocks from the boy's house. It cost $6.
It's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right, I broke the law.
You know, that's a real bright trick you pulled there. But what do you think that proves, huh? Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
So what does that mean, huh? It's the same kind of knife. What is that? The discovery of the age or something?
It would still be an incredible coincidence for another person to stand so fast with the same kind of knife.
That's right. He's absolutely
The odds are
right.
1 in a million. Come
But
on.
it's possible.
But not very probable.
All right. Let's sit back down, gentlemen. No point milling around here. All right.
You know, it's interesting that he should find a knife exactly like the one the boy bought.
Interesting. What does that prove? Does that prove anything?
No, but I just
Interesting. Listen, why don't you tell me why the kid bought the knife to begin with?
Well, he claims...
Yeah, I know. He claims he bought it as a present for a friend of his. He was going to give it to the kid the next day because he busted the other kid's knife, dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said.
The friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
Right. How long before the murder? 3 weeks. So now you tell me how our noble lad bought the knife 1/2 hour after his father smacked him, and 3.5 hours before they found it shoved up to here in his father's chest.
No, wait. He was going to give the kid the knife as a present. He just wanted to try it out first.
Well, let me ask you this. If the boy bought the knife to use on his father, then why did he show what's going to be the murder weapon to 3 friends of his just a couple of hours before the killing took place?
Look, all of that is just talk. The boy lied, and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
Yeah, that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
How about you?
You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure? What are you, the kid's lawyer or something? Who do you think you are to come in here and start cross-examining us?
Isn't that what's supposed to happen in a jury room?
Oh, yeah? Well, there's still 11 of us in here who say he's guilty.
I mean, come on. If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, you go right ahead. The kid will be tried again and found guilty just as sure as he was born.
You're probably right.
So what are we doing here? We're going to be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
Anybody got a deck of cards?
He shouldn't make a joke about it.
Come on. What do you want me to do? Listen, I don't see what all this stuff about the knife has to do with anything. Somebody saw the kid stab his father. Now, what more do you need? Listen, I got 3 garages of mine going to pot. Well, you're talking. Now, let's just get done and get out of here.
You know, the knife is very important to the district attorney. He's not in the
He's
time
the
on it.
15th assistant or something. What does he know?
All right. Listen, let's just get on with it, okay? These side arguments are just slowing us down. So, how about
You are the only one.
All right, look. I've got a proposition to make. I want you 11 men to vote by secret written ballot, and I'll abstain. If there are still 11 guilty votes, then I won't stand alone. We'll take your guilty verdict into the judge right now. But if anyone votes not guilty, we'll stay here and talk about it.
You're finally behaving like a reasonable man.
All right, that sounds good. Anybody object? All right, pass these down.
We can all go home, let's do it.
All right, all right, all right. All right, guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
Boy, how do you like that?
The guy flips his goddamn wig.
All right, come on, come on. Who was it? I want to know.
Excuse me, this was a secret vote. We agreed on this.
Secret? What do you mean secret? There are no secrets in the jury room. I know who it was. You know, brother, you're really something. You come in here and vote guilty with the rest of us, and then some golden-voiced preacher over there starts to tear your heart out. How this poor little kid couldn't help become a murderer. So you changed your vote. If that isn't the most sickening thing, hey, why don't you drop a quarter next collection box?
right.
Wait a minute. You can't talk to me like that. Let's go now. Where does he get the right to shout at me?
Sit down, it doesn't matter, he's very excitable, forget it.
You bet I'm excitable. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. Somebody comes along and starts telling fairy tales, and we're listening.
Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? Do you want to see a proven murderer walking the streets again? Why don't we give him his knife back? Make it easier for him.
Can we hold down the yelling? Does anybody have anything constructive to say?
Please, I would like to say something here. I have always thought in this country that a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions.
Hey, you just stick to the subject. Why did you change your vote?
He didn't change his vote. I did. Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't.
I would like to make it clear, if you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
Oh, be quiet. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you. This gentleman has been standing alone against us. He doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure. Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I want to hear more. For the time being, the vote is 10-2. I'm talking here. You have no right.
We can't hear you. We never will.
All right, if the speech is over, maybe we can move on.
I guess we gotta take a break. Gentleman there, and I think we ought to wait for him.
Boy, it looks like we're really hung up here. I mean, that thing with the old man was pretty unexpected, right? Jeez. Man, I wish I knew how we could break this up, huh? You know, in advertising, I told you I worked at an ad agency, didn't I? Yeah, well, there's some pretty strange people. Well, not strange, really. They just have peculiar ways of expressing themselves. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, it's probably the same in your business, right? Well, what do you do?
I am a watchmaker.
Really? Well, the finest watchmakers come from Europe, I imagine, right? So anyway, I was telling you in the agency, right? When we reach a point like this in the meeting, there's always some character ready with an idea, right? And it kills me. I mean, it's the weirdest thing sometimes. The way they precede the idea with like a phrase, right? Like some account executive will say, here's an idea. Let's run up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes it, right? Or let's put it on the bus and see if it gets off in Wall Street. I mean, it's idiotic, you know, but it's funny, you know, it keeps us,
Say, listen, that business before, you know, I'm just an excitable guy. I didn't mean to be nasty or anything, all right?
Oh. There you go. So, you a salesman?
I'm an architect.
Ah. You know all about the soft sell, don't you? You're pretty damn good at it, I'll tell you that. Me, I use another approach. Jokes, drinks, knock them on their asses. You know, last year I made $27,000 selling marmalade, which is pretty damn good when you consider marmalade. Oh, come on. What are you getting out of this, kicks or something? Let's just get this over with so we can go home before we all get sore throats.
What's the difference whether you get one here or at the ball game?
Nothing, pal. No difference at all.
Nice bunch of guys, huh?
Same as any, I guess.
That loudmouth, the one that was talking about his son, the way he was talking, boy, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
What a murderous day. You think we'll be here much longer?
I don't know.
He's guilty. There's no doubt about it in the whole world. We should have been done by now. Oh, not that I mind, it beats working, you know. Hey, wait a minute. You think he's innocent?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know you, but I'll bet you've never been wronger in your life. Why did you wrap this up? You are wasting your time.
Suppose you were the one on trial.
I'm not used to supposing. My boss, he does the supposing. I'm just a working man. But I'll try one. Suppose you talk us out of this, and the kid really did knife his father.
All right, gentlemen, let's take our seats.
Well, looks like we'll be here for dinner.
Yeah. All right. All right. Everybody here? All right. Let's get down to business. Who'd like to start us off?
Well, I'd like to say something. Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
Pardon me. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Quite all right. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to make a small point. The boy had a motive for the killing. The beatings and all. I mean, if he didn't do it, who else did? Who else had a motive? I mean, people just don't go out and kill somebody without a motive, not unless they're just plain nuts, right?
Look, as far as I know, we're supposed to determine whether the boy on trial is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't let help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And we can't help asking ourselves who else may have had motive. Logically, these things follow. Now, this gentleman has asked a reasonable question. Somebody killed the man. If it wasn't the boy, then who was it?
Mojalewski!
Talking about the man I love!
If you haven't gotten anything to add besides jokes, I suggest you listen.
All right, I was just letting off steam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you can answer me then. Who else may have killed the father?
Well, I don't know. The boy's father wasn't exactly a model citizen. He was in jail once. He was known to be a compulsive gambler and a pretty consistent loser. He spent time in neighborhood bars and would often get into fistfights after a couple of drinks, usually over a woman. He was a tough, cruel, primitive kind of man who never held a job for more than 6 months in his life. So here are a few possibilities. He may have been killed by one of the men he served time in prison with, or by a bookmaker, or by a man he'd beaten up, or by a woman he'd picked up, or by any one of the people he was known to hang around with.
Boy, oh boy, that is the biggest load of crap that I've... Listen, We know the father was a bum, so, I mean, come on, what does that got to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him, and I gave my answer.
That gentleman over there asked a direct question.
Oh, everyone's a lawyer.
All right, why don't you answer this for me? The old man said he heard the boy yell out, "I'm gonna kill you." Second later, he heard a body hit the floor. And he saw the kid running out of the house. Now, what does all that mean to you?
Well, I was wondering how clearly he could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
He didn't hear it through the ceiling. His window was open, and the upstairs apartment window was open too. It was a hot night, remember?
The voice came from another apartment. It's not easy to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
He identified it in court.
Yes.
He picked it out of 5 other voices. I mean, it blindfolded.
But that was just an ambitious district attorney putting on a show. Listen, the old man knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years, but to identify it positively from the apartment downstairs, isn't it possible he was wrong? That he thought the boy was upstairs and automatically decided that the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
I think that's a bit far-fetched.
Brother, you can say that again. Look, the old man heard the father's body falling. Then he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds later. Come on, he saw the boy.
And don't forget the woman across the street. I mean, she looked right into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. I mean, come on, isn't that enough for you?
Not right now. No, it isn't.
Forget this guy. It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of an elevated train. The train had 6 cars, and she saw the killing through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembered the most insignificant details. I don't see how you can argue with that.
I don't know. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, well, maybe you ought to think about it. Listen, I'll be X's, you be O's. All right.
I wonder if anybody has any idea how long it takes. How can you play tic-tac-toe? This isn't a game.
Hey, wait a minute! Who do you think
All
you
right,
are?
take it easy.
Come on now,
What?
let's take our seats.
Well, I got a good mind to belt him.
Come on, I don't want any fights in here.
What?
Come
Did
on.
you hear him? The nerve, the absolute nerve.
Come on, forget it. It's not important.
This isn't a game. Who does he think he's dealing with here?
It's over with. Come on, let's
What do you
sit
mean
down.
it's over? I want an apology.
Come on.
All right, Noisy, he apologizes. Now let's hear what he's got to say.
Come on.
Thank you. I was wondering if anybody has any idea how long it takes an elevated train traveling at medium speed to pass a given point.
What difference does that make?
How long? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
How about you?
I don't know, about 10 or 12 seconds maybe?
Oh, what's all this for?
I'd say that was about right. Anyone else?
I'd say that's about right, yes.
Come on, what's the guessing game for?
What do you think?
10 seconds approximately.
All right, let's say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. It takes a 6-car L train 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now let's say that given point is the open window of the apartment in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out and touch the L tracks, right?
Right.
Has anyone here ever lived right next to the L tracks?
I work next to the L line, painting an apartment. I'm a house painter, that's my business. I was there for 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Oh, brother. Yeah, but it doesn't matter in my business. Everybody's punchy anyway.
Listen, I lived in a 2nd floor apartment right next to the L line once. When the windows open and a train goes by, the noise is unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
All right, you can't hear yourself think. What point are you getting at?
Look, let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try and put them together. First, the old man downstairs. He says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and then he heard a body hit the floor a split second later. 1 second, right?
That's right.
Second, the woman across the street. She says she looked out her window and saw the killing take place through the last 2 cars of a passing L train. The last 2 cars, right?
All right, what's your point?
Now we agreed it takes a 6-car L train about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman says she saw the killing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train passed by. Therefore, the train had to be roaring past the old man's apartment for a full 10 seconds before the body fell. The old man, according to his testimony, hearing the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and the body falling a split second later, would have had to hear the boy make that statement while the L was roaring past his nose. Well, It isn't possible he could have heard it.
Oh, that's idiotic. Sure he could have heard it.
You think so?
The old man said the boy yelled it out. That's enough for me.
If he heard anything at all, he still couldn't identify a voice. Not with the train roaring
We're
past.
talking about a matter of seconds here. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think testimony that can put a boy in the electric chair should be that accurate.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe he didn't, not with the sound of the L train and all.
What are you people talking about here?
It stands to reason.
Ah, you're crazy. Why would he lie, huh? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You know, you keep coming up with these snappy sayings here. Why don't you send one off to the newspapers? They paid $3.
Why are you talking to him like that? A guy who talks to an old man like that ought to get stepped on.
Hey, don't put your hands on me!
You should show some respect.
Yeah?
Take it easy now. Sit down. Come on.
Go ahead. What did you want to say? Why do you think the old man might lie?
Well, it's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice that?
Yes, it is.
I mean, to come into court like that. He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who's been nothing all of his life. Never had any recognition, his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him, nobody quotes him, nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. This is a very sad thing, to be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be listened to be quoted, just once. This is very important. It would be so hard for him to recede into the background.
Wait. Are you trying to tell us that this old man lied just so he could feel important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Oh, that is the most fantastic story I ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
Gentlemen, this case is based on a reasonable and logical progression of facts.
Facts,
Keep it there.
facts may be colored by the personalities of the people who present them.
Oh, you talking to me?
Would anybody care for a cough drop?
Yeah, I'll take one.
Say what you like. I still don't see how anybody can think the boy is not guilty.
All right, look, I think we've proved the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But
You didn't prove it at all. What are you talking about?
But supposing he did, this phrase, how many times have each of us used it? Probably hundreds. I could kill you for that, darling. You do that one more time, Junior, and I'll kill you. Kill him, Rocky. We say it every day. It doesn't mean we're going to kill somebody.
All right, what are you trying to give us here? The boy yelled out, "I'm going to kill you," and he yelled it at the top of his lungs. Don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says something like that the way he said it, they mean it.
Well, I don't know about that. I remember arguing with a man at the bank just a couple of weeks ago. So he called me an idiot. So I yelled at him.
Look, this guy is making you believe things that aren't true. The kid said he was going to kill him, and he did kill him.
Do you really think he'd shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear him? Sure. I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right? He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
Pardon, he doesn't even speak good English.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
The hell are you talking about?
You heard me.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
What are you basing this on? Stories this guy's pulling out of thin air? Come on, the facts are staring you right in the face. And they all say that this kid killed his father, crying out loud. Even his lawyer didn't think he had a chance. You could see it right from the beginning, his own lawyer. Christ, this guy deserves the chair.
Does he? It's happened before that someone's been convicted of murder and executed, and years later someone else has confessed to the crime. Sometimes the facts staring you in the face are just wrong.
I was talking to him, not you. Look, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? And the lawyer presented his case, not you. How come you got so much to say?
The lawyer was court appointed.
What does that mean?
It could mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case. It could mean he resented being appointed. I mean, it's the type of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. It's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. He'd really have to believe in his client in order to put up a good fight, and as you just pointed out, obviously he didn't.
Oh, good! God himself come to earth? Come on! The kid's guilty.
Pardon me,
At the time.
I have made some notes here.
Notes yet? Oh.
I would like, please, to say something. I have been listening very closely, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looks guilty. But maybe if we go deeper...
Come on, will ya?
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and then ran away. This was at 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was the boy caught by the police? He came home at 3 o'clock or so and was captured by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house. Now, my question is, if the boy had really killed his father, then why did he come back 3 hours later? Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught?
Look, he came back to get his knife. It's not nice to leave knives sticking in people's chests.
Especially a relative.
The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one he had just purchased. He had to get it before the police did.
But if he knew the knife could be identified, then why did he leave it there in the first place?
I think we can assume that he ran out in a state of panic, and once he calmed down, he realized he had left the knife.
Well, this then depends upon your definition of panic. Now, he was calm enough to see to it that the knife was free of fingerprints. Now, when did the panic start and when did it end?
Look, you can forget all that other stuff. He came back to dig out his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I was a boy and I had killed my father, I would not have come back. 3 hours later, I would be afraid that the police would be there. I would stay away, knife or no knife.
Listen, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't believe I have to be loyal to one side or the other. I'm simply asking questions.
Well, look, this is just off the top of my head, but if I were the boy and I, done the stabbing and everything, well, I'd take a chance and go back for the knife. I bet he figured nobody had seen him, and that the body probably wasn't even discovered yet.
Right.
I mean, after all, it was the middle of the night, right? I mean, he probably thought the body wouldn't be found till the next day.
Pardon, here is my whole point. The woman across the street testified that a moment after she saw the killing, that is a moment after the L train went by, she screamed and they went to telephone the police. Now the boy must certainly have heard that scream and known that somebody saw something. I don't think he would have gone back if he had been the murderer.
2 points. 1, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. And 2, if he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act. After all, he did come from a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
Right, there's your answer.
Maybe. Look, maybe the boy did stab his father. Didn't hear the scream. Did run out in a panic. Did calm down and came back 3 hours later to retrieve the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all these things are so. But maybe they aren't.